The Utah Jazz could be building something very special. This is a team that, one, has a general manager that we have seen completely turn a franchise around before, and two, is doing everything right. They go out, they get guys like Taylor Hendricks in the draft, Keontae George at pick 16, and Bryce Sensabaugh at pick 28. They go out and get a guy in John Collins who was a franchise cornerstone for the Hawks just a couple of years ago for literally a bag of chips. Like Rudy Gay and a second-round pick, that is nothing. To go with their current core of Lauri Markennen, Walker Kessler, Jordan Clarkson. They got some other young guys that we're going to talk about here today. Also have, Colin Sexton. Maybe he can make, a little bit of noise here in Utah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Make sure to hit the like button and leave me a comment if you do enjoy at any point, as well as sticking around for the full video. It'll really help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Also, hit that subscribe button. A large majority of my subscribers are not subscribed to the channel, or of my watch time are not subscribed to the channel. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit like 10K before the season starts. I think we can do that. I think that's reasonable. So let's go ahead and get started looking at Taylor Hendricks and the rest of the draft class for the Utah Jazz. Insane upside right here. When you talk about Taylor Hendricks, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Is he going to play the 3 or the 4 in the NBA? That's the big question. Really at this point, I think it's positionless between him and Lauri Markennen. That's your 3 and 4. Doesn't matter which one plays which. Averaged 15.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists per game this year for UCF, and wasn't really seen as a one-and-done prospect, but ended up being one. 6'9", 210 pounds out of UCF, like we said. So yeah, Taylor Hendricks is a guy, 48% from the field, 39% from 3, 1 steal, 1.7 blocks, stuffs the stat sheet, does whatever you need him to do. I'm really excited to watch Taylor Hendricks in Utah. It was a shame we couldn't see him in the summer league, but I think he was dealing with injury. But now he's back, he's ready to go, I think, and he should be ready to light the league on fire. Him and Markennen, that's going to be a fun 1-2 duo. And then you got Keontae George, who, speaking of lighting stuff on fire, kind of lit the NBA Summer League up. 15.3 points a game, 4.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists. He was solid, really, really solid for the Jazz this year in the Summer League. Was one of the main headline players in terms of scoring points. 38% from the field, 34% from 3 at Baylor. Not exactly fantastic shooting splits, 80% from the field, but he is a guy that can shoot the ball. We know this. He was taking some very high degree of difficulty shots, so that's part of the reason his percentage was so far down. And then Bryce Sensabaugh, honestly, I had these guys flipped in my rankings, but they end up with both of them, so it's fine. 6'6", 235. He packs a punch. He's a big dude. 16.3 points a game, 5.2 rebounds last year at Ohio State, as well as about 2 assists per game. And Ohio State has kind of become known for producing high-efficiency wings. Malachi Branham, super efficient at Ohio State, comes out, late first-round pick. Bryce Sensabaugh, you see the efficiency numbers right there. That is really, really solid for a freshman in college. Same thing with Sensabaugh, or with Malachi Branham last year. If he wasn't scoring points, it wasn't because he was missing shots. He just didn't take many if he wasn't scoring a lot of points. So yeah, that's one thing to look for here this year is really good efficiency. I think he can help them off the bench right away. And then the absolute steal of a trade that was the John Collins situation. 13 points, 6.5 rebounds, a career worst year for Collins last year in Atlanta. They decided to go a different direction because, of course, he has a large contract, 51% from the field and 1 block per game, however. So, definitely still some gas left in the tank. He's still relatively young in terms of the NBA these days, but he's got 3 years, $78 million left on that contract, and the Jazz are really just going to absorb that for now. They gave up Rudy Gay and a second-round pick to get him, so they're going to absorb that. He's going to be a piece of this rebuild that's going to continue to get better and better. They have so many picks from other teams, which we will talk about. However, they don't have their 2024 first-round pick. So this John Collins trade does kind of make sense in that regard that, you got to be decently good this year because you don't want to give up a top 5 pick to the Thunder. But, yeah, they go out, they get John Collins. I like the move. Another piece to this rebuild that kind of goes along the lines of, the Jazz wanting to stay competitive right now is the fact that they bring back Jordan Clarkson for 3 more years, about $55 million. He was solid last year. We've seen him be very, very good as the 6th man here in Utah. I think he might start this year, We're going to look at that later when we get to the projected lineups portion of the video. But you see the stats on the screen. And I think this is, like we said, they've got to win this year. They don't want to give Oklahoma City their pick and it be too high. 31 years old, so by the time his contract's up, he'll be 34. And then it'll be time for him to start getting, like vet minimums. But Jordan Clarkson is going to be in Utah for 3 more years. And then, you talk about Utah, you talk about basketball in Utah, you got to talk about the Twin Towers. Walker Kessler had a really good rookie season last year. Now, the stats don't tell the full story. 9.2 points per game, 8.4 rebounds. I mean, those are solid rookie numbers, but he was so good defensively. 72% from the field. Didn't attempt a 3 a game, but somehow shot at 33%. Makes sense. But he was so good defensively. When you look at it, 2.3 blocks per game in 23 minutes. You compare his per 36 numbers to Rudy Gobert, his are better. And he's making about $130 million less than Gobert over the next 3 years. And they absolutely stole that trade with the Timberwolves. Now, Lauri averaged 25.5 points a game last year, 8.5 rebounds. He had a solid year as well. Another guy that's going to be a key piece here in this rebuild. 50% from the field, 39% from 3 last year. I mean, he had a breakout year. Coming over from the Cleveland Cavaliers, he was finally cut loose. He showed how good he could be. After he gets done in the Finnish military, he will be good to go, ready to roll, and I think it's going to be good for the Utah Jazz because I low-key like this lineup a lot. You're going to bring Taylor Hendricks off the bench, or, if you want to get real weird with it, you move one of Jordan Clarkson or Colin Sexton to the bench, and you can play like Taylor Hendricks at the 2, and then just have 6'9" across the board, and then Walker Kessler at center. That's a funky way you can go with this starting lineup. But, if not, maybe they go with a more traditional point guard, which we will talk about in a second, at the starting point guard position. In my opinion, these are probably their 5 best players right now. Now, of course, they have some really good rookies that we're going to talk about, or that we have talked about. But as of right now, this is what I would go with for the starting lineup. Jazz fans, y'all let me know down in the comments below what y'all would go. Because it's kind of up in the air right now with so many new moving pieces coming in this offseason. It's really up in the air. There's no consensus starting lineup for the Utah Jazz. Not like they're championship contenders and people are, making them the main points of their offseason. Now, taking a look at the bench, like I said, they could go with a more conventional starting point guard. Maybe Talen Horton-Tucker. Maybe Chris Dunn. I've been hearing a lot about Chris Dunn from you Jazz fans in the comment section. Maybe he gets a starting nod. But you look at the bench, these are the pieces that they have. Of course, the 3 rookies that we've already talked about. Really excited for Taylor Hendricks, and then I think Sensabaugh can contribute from day one. Same thing with Keontae George. If any of them go to the G League, I think Keontae George is honestly the most likely. And then maybe Bryce Sensabaugh second. But I think Taylor Hendricks from day one is a solid contributor. Kelly Olynyk, he was good for him last year, good veteran presence. And then Ochai Agbaji, a guy that people need to talk about more because he's gonna be a big time piece for them next year. A guy I was extremely high on last season, and I think is going to play a significant piece. Probably going to be the 6th man this year for the Jazz, and I think he's going to do a very, very good job coming off that bench, being that spark plug. Maybe once they start competing for championships, he's going to be the starter. I could see him as an OG Anunoby type player, and not just because his name kind of sounds like OG Anunoby's. Ochai Agbaji. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it for sure. That actually helps out my player comparison a lot. But yeah, that's why I think the Jazz, they're going in the right direction for sure. We didn't even talk about all the picks that they have accumulated. You know what Danny Ainge loves to do with his picks. So yeah, Jazz for sure going in the right direction. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments below. Make sure to hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. Turn on those post notifications. Remember, 10K by the time the season starts. That's the goal. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video.